Hi, my name is Luke, and ever since November 6, 2015, I have been a perkaholic. My father was as well, and I swore I'd never be like him, but here we are, I guess. The first step to recovery, though, as they say, is to admit that you have a problem and that I still struggle with it every single day. It even got bad enough that after quitting for a few weeks, I relapsed and installed a mod that allowed me to guzzle down the sweet juices of 95 perk bottles in a single game. At first, I was ashamed of what I had done, but then I remembered that there's others out there that definitely struggle with the urge to guzzle-wuzzle the juggy-wuggy until they pass out every night. That's why I've come to Perkaholics Anonymous to reflect on my action and empower others to fight as well, because at least 76% of you admitted to having the same problems I do. Pretty sure I just had a fucking stroke. So what are we actually doing today? I'm glad you asked, because we're going to try to break Black Ops 3 by purchasing 95 perks with lots of different effects that definitely won't make my game suffer. This was actually supposed to be played on the Madagascar Zombies map because it lets me play as a penguin, but no, that map's too fragile to handle my perk mod. So now we need to play the Damned of the Moor 1, which takes place in southern England in it, so you know there's not going to be a single good piece of food for hundreds of miles. And after stumbling through a new zombies map, bumping against every wall as is tradition, I finally found the power switch and I can start explaining how all this is going to work. Basically, the mod adds a ton of new perk locations and then changes what machine is at them every round except for stuff like Juggernog, which stays in the same spot. Oh yeah, and Brutus shows up sometimes because this map is a prison, I think, but being in England is basically prison anyway, so I'm not really sure what's special about this location. Look, I can say this shit, I live in Scotland and I regret that decision every day because it's just rain and wind and suffering, so calm down, Brits. Oh yeah, right, the perks. So since a lot of them are custom made ones, I'm not really sure what most of them actually do, and if I had to explain every single one of them, then it would drive both of us insane. What makes things even more confusing is that there's technically only like 42 perks, but each of them can be bought twice, and on the second buy, they each give an additional effect. Something that's really cool actually is that somehow they got fucking Luna to work from Black Ops 4, which just makes me smile inside because Luna is a 23 out of 10 best pawpaw. I also did almost die on round 15 though, because in my desire to keep buying perks, I kinda forgot to pack punch any of the guns or even get double tap. It's a really good thing that the LMG I got early on was called the Lad machine gun in it, so this thing is an absolute unit. And yes, for some reason, one of the effects for a perk is being able to double jump. There's literally no circumstance that I could use this to my benefit, but thanks, I guess. And by now, you might be wondering, man, that perk lineup looks really long. Is it just going to keep getting longer? And the answer is no, mine doesn't get longer, it just expands wider. The perks start to make rows on top of each other, and then when you buy a perk for the second time, it gets a yellow border around it. So right now, for example, I bought 17 perks, and this is only fucking beginner. There's a lot more stuff to do. I've also tacked on the extra challenges of getting to round 50 for the memes, and the map description says there's an Easter egg to complete, so we'll do that as well. Something else I learned around this time is that the mod basically cuts the map in half, and that the perks that spawn on one side of the map won't spawn on the other. So I had to sit in the spawn room praying to our Lord and Savior Jack Black that Brutus wouldn't show up and make me call him daddy. You know what was massively disappointing though? My favorite gun in World War II Zombies was the Delisle sniper rifle because you could shoot it at the ground and the bullet would splinter to kill like 6 zombies. This map actually has the Delisle and I got it, but it doesn't do any of that. Nothing's been so disappointing since the day I was born, and it ruined my entire day. Perk check while we're here is 38 actually, meaning we're not even halfway done on round 27 and I am still thirsty. Things were starting to turn my way though, because perk rotations were starting to give me stuff I couldn't afford earlier on in the game, or ones that I straight up haven't even seen yet. That means by the end of round 29, I was out of my mind blasted on perks and I had gotten all the way up to 56 of them, but my mind was only focused on them, so I accidentally traded out the LMG. I'd been using this thing basically all game, which happened to also only be my only good gun. Being a complete degenerate went in my favor though, because the mystery box instantly rewarded me with a ray gun. And one of our many perks happens to be PhD Slider, meaning no splash damage. Checkmate, communists. Who needs nationalized healthcare when you could just buy it? Gotta get your bread up, brokies. Maybe I need to get my bread up too, because the map started lagging at this point, either because my PC's getting old or because most custom maps are held together by nothing more than thoughts and prayers, and they weren't designed to be pushed by some dumbass getting 95 perks. And look, I recognize that the perks look like a sin at this point, but in its defense, there's still less icons on the screen than the Black Ops 4 HUD, so we're doing pretty well in my opinion. We're going back to certified stroke hour gamers because I wanted to get another gun from the mystery box and somehow ended up with the Razorback, which is a fully automatic ray gun that also has a Wonderwaff mode somehow by making itself blue. It doesn't really shoot straight either. The bullets might be more drunk than I am because they just go wherever they feel like when you're aiming down the sights. Don't get me wrong, the thing is really fun, but what the fuck is actually happening here? I don't think I've ever been this confused by a zombies gun in my entire life. You know what perfectly describes describes this game better than anything else though, getting so lost in the sauce that I didn't realize until round 38 where I'm desperately trying to find the last few perk machines that I need that I somehow didn't buy Quick Revive. That would have been heartbreaking to get this far and then game over in one down. Good thing that didn't happen though, and hey, magically I have a Thunder Gun now. I legitimately don't remember when I got this. I'm writing the script while watching the gameplay back after I had already played, and I still have absolutely no clue. What I do know is that with the double purchase of PhD Flopper, we have a total of 88 perks, and Bandolier Bandit shortly after takes that total up to 90. I'm pretty much ignoring zombies at this point altogether because between all the perk effects, anything that gets near me gets slowed down, damaged, stunned, and then put into the timeout corner. I basically don't need to give a shit, and if somehow one got through, then his ass is being sent to space with a Thunder Gun. When round 40 began, I actually got really good perk rotations, so I could buy Blood Wolf Bite for the second time and Daminade, which I bought both times. I still don't know what this perk is. This does mean though that there should only be one more perk left to finish out our fourth line. If there isn't, then my OCD is going to require me to yeet the computer and myself out of the window. So in the meantime, while I keep searching, we also still have to get through a couple of rounds, and while Brutus quietly reflects on his life, let's talk about how much of a headache these perks are actually becoming. Sure, they keep me very secure, but I also can't finish rounds in a reasonable amount of time. Time's actually important here too, because I wasn't sure if the game stuttering this badly was going to make it crash or not. Being able to pet Luna though did calm me down. I thought that was really funny. It reminds me why Blood Wolf Bite is the best perk ever made, and I will hear no slander about it. We will talk about this outside if you disagree. Luna is the best. For super realsies though, I was starting to get worried about crashes, so I implemented a new rule that anything I immediately see gets just sent to Mars with a Thunder Gun. Ammo be damned, I don't give a shit. Something did have to be wrong though, so at the end of round 44, I went looking around the map for either Easter egg clues or hidden things that I had missed because I needed this 95th perk. I did find this weird tiny speed coal machine, so I shot at it and it disappeared, and when I went back upstairs near the Pack-a-Punch machine, I noticed a green power up through the wall and it gave us our 95th and final perk. Holy crap, that is a relief. Now we just need to get through a few more rounds and finish out the Easter egg. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. So I spent the next 15 minutes walking around the map and shooting at random shit, hoping to trigger the first step until I gave up and I searched for a guide on YouTube. Apparently this Easter egg is really short, and the first step is to knife this painting so it will move to the side and reveal a button. I went up to it and I knifed and knifed and knifed some more, but that painting is not budging at all. Through the power of being overpowered, I was able to ignore the zombies once again to just keep knifing while I'm googling away. Eventually I discovered deep in the map's workshop page comments, I realized that if you have Widow's Wine, you can actually move the painting to begin the quest. That might be the most obtuse, pettiest thing I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. I still wanted to do the quest though, but I wanted to get to round 50 before downing myself to get rid of the perks. Round 49 was of course completed while completely prone for the memes, and round 50 was a hellhound round, and when round 51 began, the zombies finally downed me after like 2 minutes of me doing nothing to resist them. Great, thank God I could finally finish the quest, and I need a fucking drink.